Hello and welcome to the Night Feed. I'm your host, Charlotte, here to bring you some comfort, camaraderie, and conversation and keep you company during, let's face it, one of the toughest parts of being a new parent, the Night Feed. Tonight's unpaid sponsor is having a meltdown in a car park. And this is me I'm talking about, not my children. I took them to a new library the other day. We've basically had to be out the house for the whole week and a half, the last week and a half. I'll come to the reason why shortly. But we've had to be out the house, so I thought we'll go to a new library. I parked on a Morrison's car park and off we went to the library. I thought we had 2 hours on said car park. So we had a lovely time. We come back to the car. We're all quite tired. It's about 4 p.m. So we're all a bit ratty. We've been out all day. And my 2-year-old starts trying to climb out the pram on the busy car park. And I look up and I saw the sign and it said 90 minutes free parking, otherwise £100 penalty charge. And I thought, have we been here that long? Looked at my phone and I found the message I sent as I pulled up. And we had been there for exactly 92 minutes. So whilst my youngest is trying to climb out the pram, having a meltdown, my oldest tries to climb out the pram also and has a meltdown. And then I just thought, you know what? I'm going to have a meltdown. I was like, please, just listen to Mummy a minute. Mummy's going to get a parking fine. And because I got all emotional, they stopped and they were looking at me like, oh gosh, she's really losing it this time. Anyway, I saw the park by phone, so I thought, I'll just add an extra hour and hope that there's a nice 10-minute grace period. I bet there isn't, though. I bet I get a parking fine, and I won't be happy about it. It's literally 2 minutes. I paid for an extra hour for 96p or 99p. I don't know. But yeah, they try and get you wherever you can, don't they? They really do. I'm just a mum trying to be out the house, go to the library, and this trip to the library could potentially cost me £100, but there we are. The reason we've had to be out the house is because we've had builders in this past week doing some work. I think Jason and I have gone into full-blown nesting mode and we're just getting everything done that we've been putting off at once before the baby comes, which is great to think in a few weeks the house will be sorted, hopefully. But when you're in the thick of it, at 30 weeks pregnant, with a 2 and a 4-year-old living from the kitchen and the upstairs floor where the bedrooms are, it's no mean feat. So we've been packing a bag and we've been going out each day. My oldest is in nursery for the first half of the day, which kind of ties me to the area, really. So my youngest and I will do something together, pick her up, and then we'll go out again, whether that's wherever. My mum and dad have been great. We've been coming here to their house where I am today. But yeah, it is not easy being out all week. And I don't know, something clicked in my head halfway through the week and I was like, do you know what? Just enjoy this time, actually. Just embrace the fact that it's going to be a crazy couple of weeks and make some nice experiences from it. So we've been doing lots of different things, like going to the local library, cafe. There's an RHS garden near us, which has been lovely, seeing friends. My 2 neighbours have been wonderful. They've said that I can, pop in if I need a tea, which I thought was really lovely. And then I've got 2 friends nearby that said the same thing, which it's really lovely when you know that there are people around you that are there and you can, that'll help you out when you're in a situation like that. But I've had some really lovely moments, actually. And I think you can take for granted how the things that you feel as a mum that are stressful and you're in this situation now and you've got the kids and you're out the house, what are we going to do? It actually to them is fun. It's a different experience. They're out and about. And there was this, my 2-year-old fell asleep in the car the other day. And it was after I picked my oldest up from nursery and I thought, I don't want to wake her by taking her in somewhere. She needs a good solid nap. It's been a busy week. So I thought, what can I do that's going to entertain my 4-year-old in a car? I thought, I know. we'll go to my old sacred place, McDonald's. We went and got a sugar donut each, and I got a coffee. And we just like sat in the front of the car, the both of us, just taking the world in. I was drinking my coffee. She had a donut, and it was like the best thing ever to her. She got to sit on the passenger seat in the front, and she was really chuffed about that. And then she was like watching all the people, and she was asking me lots of questions, and we just had like this lovely hour together where we probably wouldn't have done that if we were at home or we were in our usual routine. I am very conscious of spending quality time with them, but I think when you're both sat in a car with no distractions, it's actually a lovely, lovely moment. And she was in her apple cart. She was loving life. It was a novelty to her. We'd got this donut from the hole in the wall, which she thinks McDonald's is like, wow, this mythical place where you just get fast food out of a window. She's only 4. So everything to that age group is new, isn't it? And sometimes it's just so wonderful watching the world out of their eyes. So I don't know, this is just my little reminder. If you're having a bit of a hectic time, or you're feeling at a bit of a loose end this week, try and get yourself out and just do something that may feel like menial to you, but actually to your baby or your toddler would feel like the best thing ever. And it doesn't have to be expensive, just be a coffee in the park or in the car. But yeah, I think sometimes when you really focus on being in that moment and enjoying that moment, because it is hard as a mom when you've got a million things going on in your head all the time, like when's the next meal for the kids going to be, what we're going to eat, what we're going to do, it can feel overwhelming. So I think if you strip everything back and have a moment where you're just there and you're just being together, without any other distractions, it can feel just like the best. On another note, I came across an article, and it's actually a letter from a mum to a newspaper. And I thought it's kind of interesting because there's been a lot of narrative lately about how difficult it is for mums in our generation. I touched on it last week when I was talking about the child psychologist and how she talked about daycare and how women in our generation have been sold this dream where we can have our career and we can have babies, and we can balance everything, and sometimes it just feels so overwhelming, I think, for a lot of people. And there's been a lot of narrative around that it's very difficult for mums of this generation. But this lady wrote in and said being a new mum was tough for my generation too. So I'll read out some of the things, what she said. She said, it's easy to imagine that previous generations had helpful families around the corner and that life wasn't so hectic or costly. But my experience and that of many of my generation, she says my children were born in the 80s and 90s, was difficult too. I had to finish work at a certain point in pregnancy, around 7 months, and maternity pay was only for 6 weeks. Many mums, myself included, returned to work when the baby was 3 months old. We needed the money to pay the mortgage. I worked part-time for years to minimise childcare costs, and in those days you didn't have to pay pension contributions if you worked less than 25 hours a week. So many women chose not to. This impacted my workplace pension. By the 90s, things were slightly better, and I took 6 months off after my 3rd child. But childcare costs were prohibitive, and we paid them so I could continue working as a nurse and not lose my registration. In those early years, it did seem like it actually cost to work, but I figured that it was worth the trade-off as I remained in the workplace, and that helped me progress my career. I did not have family around, having moved away to train as a nurse, and we did not have easy access to resources like WhatsApp support or Mumsnet. I have much sympathy with new mothers. It is truly a testing time, but the past was no more rosy than the present. My own experience of becoming a mother gave me real respect for all mothers everywhere. So that's interesting because I also read something from a 90s mother talking about how she would much prefer to have her baby back, how she's glad she had a baby back then, basically, and how maternity care is different now. And I just think it's really interesting hearing other perspectives and other experiences of motherhood through the generations, because I think it is easy for us mums to look back and go, oh, they didn't have social media then, so there was no huge comparison, there was no impact on mental health from that area. We have this idea that people lived round the corner from their parents and that the neighbours used to look after the babies, and it was all very village-like, babies were raised in a village. And obviously, going off this article, that wasn't always the case. But I do think in the 80s and 90s is when it started to change, actually. I feel like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, women were much more at home with the kids, and neighbourhoods were much more, what's the word, kind of closer, I guess. My nan talks about how she would go and have a cup of tea with the neighbours while the kids played, and then she'd go and see this neighbour, and this neighbour would come over. And she actually told me a story about how the street my mum grew up on, not many of them had cars in the 60s and 70s. Just a couple of families would have a car. So my nan organised a coach trip to Blackpool, which is a seaside town about an hour away from us. And all the neighbours come on the coach and all the kids, and they all went off for a day out. And it was like this really fun day that my mum remembers really fondly. So I do think back then there was much more of a community in that sense for new mums and new families. And I think we can look back on those times with rose-tinted glasses, like, oh, everything was much better then because there was a lot less pressure on mums to go back to work. People could have mortgages in one name, and there wasn't this huge pressure financially on people that there is today. But you can flip it on its head, can't you, and say, actually, we've got so many more mod cons, we've got tumble dryers, we've got dishwashers, we've got so many things that help us through the day, I guess, that they didn't have back then. So I think it's swings and roundabouts, really. And I think it's that grass isn't always greener analogy, that actually in the 80s and 90s, it was just as hard, if not harder. Women only had 3 months, whereas in the UK, I think the average is 9 to 12 months maternity leave. I know that's different in the States. I know it's like 3 months over there or less. I don't know. I have a lot of America readers, so if you want to write in and tell me what it is, I know it's a lot less than what we get here. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Another thing that I think is really good in this country at the moment with regards to new parents is that men are getting increasing paternity allowances. I know Jason is able to take quite a big chunk of time off paid when this baby arrives, which is just like pinch me, because that's going to be so helpful, having him around the house and not having to be at work, which wasn't a thing when we were born. I think my dad got 2 days annual leave. So I think there's a lot of positives and negatives for every generation, and there always will be. But it's just good to get different perspectives, isn't it? And speaking of mod cons, I suppose, I came across a post on Reddit, which was, what is the number one baby product you couldn't live without? And there were hundreds of responses, and the original poster has very thoughtfully listed the top 10 responses. Now, I'm 30 weeks pregnant, so I came across this post for myself, really. I thought, oh, let's have a look at what's new. My youngest is 2.5 now, so it's 2.5 years ago. It's not that long ago that I was with a newborn, but still, I thought, what's the top 10 products? And I also thought, you guys, a lot of you are brand new moms, so let's see if any of this is helpful for you, or if you can relate to any of these being super useful. Number 1 is the Baby Bjorn bouncer. So yeah, I mean, we have a baby bouncer. It's not Baby Bjorn. I don't particularly know why the Baby Bjorn is better, but I do see it a lot, and I do see a lot of good reviews on that. Number 2 is the Frida electric nose sucker and or manual. Now, these are quite controversial, the nose suckers, aren't they? I didn't personally use them with my girls. I think we got one of the plastic ones in a toiletry set. It was like a little Tommy Tippy toiletry set, and it's the manual one that you kind of squeeze with your hands and it sucks the snot. I think I used it a couple of times with my eldest, and then I thought, this can't be that hygienic. So I binned it, because unless you're sterilising them, that's a big build-up of snot and germs, isn't it, in these little suckers? And it is a problem when your newborn gets a cold, because they can't really breathe out the mouth, can they? They use their noses. So I can imagine it's useful, but I would probably do my due diligence around that and how you clean them. Number 3 is Aquaphor, and this is a cream, a soothing skin balm, which supports your skin's own regeneration process and helps soothe and protect dry and very dry skin. I've never heard of that cream before, Aquaphor. Don't know if you've used that. What have I used? I think I used Sudocrem Bepanthen nappy cream. Highly recommend that. That is like magic. Whenever they've had nappy rash, I've put Bepanthen on them and it's just gone. I don't find Sudocrem as effective. I think it's still effective, but Bepanthen, wow, that stuff seems to really work. But yeah, I've not had any experience with Aquaphor, but that's number 3. Number 4 is Mum Cozy or Baby Brezza washer / sanitizer. Number 5 is Breast Friend nursing pillow. I do have a nursing pillow. It's not that brand, but yeah, I can get on board with that being a very important product, especially if you're breastfeeding and you want to avoid that awful back and neck pain that is very common. Number 6 is Hatch, which is the little sound machine and light. I think it plays grey noise. I think also it hooks up to your phone. I personally haven't got one. With the grey / white noise thing, I didn't go down that route with mine, because I read somewhere that if you get them hooked on the white noise machine, they can't sleep without it. I don't know if you've experienced that. I know a lot of people use it very successfully, so I don't want to say it's the wrong thing to do. I just stayed clear of it because I read about sleep crutches and like things that they will have to have going forward. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like it works for a lot of people, so maybe worth looking into if you're struggling with baby sleep, which, let's face it, 99% of us are, aren't we? Number 7 is the Grey Show / Fisher Price playmats for tummy time. We had, and I don't know if we still got it, one of those mats with like the rattles that dangle for them to play with on, I think from Amazon. But yeah, very handy for tummy time. It's a playmat, isn't it? I guess. Don't know what you think about that. And then the last one is a mini fridge in the nursery. So I'm guessing that is more for formula fed babies, I guess. Would that be to keep the milk cool before you heat it? I'm guessing so. I doubt it's to keep your beers cool. maybe. But yeah, I've not got a mini fridge. That's not something I've ever really considered. But they are the 8. Sorry, they're not. I said top 10 responses tonight. They are the 8 top responses. If you have any of these, please send them in to me, because I feel like we've got everything for the baby in terms of like the next to me. I need new boy clothes, which I'm really looking forward to getting, because I've always had girl clothes, so that'll be nice. That'll be a nice change. But apart from that, I feel like we have most things. But if you've had something that's really, really helped you through the newborn night or through, those early months, please let me know, because I'm really open to trying new things this time round. And I don't know, if it's been really helpful to a lot of mums, then it's definitely worth knowing about. So now onto the emails. This one says, hello, I wanted to get your opinion on something. It's going to be my first Mother's Day and I'm expecting nothing. Oh, even though the smallest gesture would be appreciated. My husband was raised never celebrating birthdays or special occasions like this, and I don't want this for my family. I told him when we first got together that birthdays are important to me, and we always celebrate them now. Do you think I should wait and see what happens with Mother's Day, or tell him I want to celebrate this too? Tell him. Absolutely tell him. Oh, it's a tough one because it is your Mother's Day, and I get that you want a surprise or something, and it's lovely. But if he has been raised that way, that is not really his fault. That's just all he knows, I would say. And it sounds positive that you've told him about birthdays in the past and he's been receptive to that and you now celebrate them. So I would take it down that route. And I think when you have your own family, it's all about setting the traditions that you want for your family. You'll take things from your own childhood, your partner will take things from their childhood, and you kind of combine them, which I love. And you set your own traditions going forward. And there's no harm in wanting anything for Mother's Day. I think it's important equally for Father's Day. They're lovely celebrations in our house. And I think it's really lovely for your children to see the parents celebrated and that love in the family and the special occasions. So I would absolutely tell him, and don't see it as something that's his fault. See it as, well, that's what he's known growing up. And I think when that's all you know, you don't see the wrong in it. But yeah, I would definitely tell him, even though it'd be nice to wait and see, and you might get a lovely bunch of flowers and you might get a lovely little present. But like I said, if he's grown up not celebrating it, it might not occur to him. He might think, oh, it's just one of those days we didn't really look at as kids. So yeah, have that conversation and just say, going forward, I'd love to celebrate Mother and Father's Day. I think it'd be lovely for our children to get involved with that. And obviously it's your first Mother's Day, so the gift will be from him, which, it will be till they're 10, 12, I don't know. But yeah, definitely tell him and set that precedent for your family, I would say. Next email says, "Hi Charlotte, I started listening to your podcast when my little one was 1, so just out of the night feeds, but it's really been comforting nonetheless." Oh, that's really lovely to hear. My 15 months old has a speech delay. She's not talking, waving, or trying to babble. My paediatrician said it may be because she's at home with me all day versus being at daycare, where she would be forced to be social and get what she needs. I wanted to ask you, as a stay-at-home mom, if you noticed anything like this in your two. Personally, I think it's bad for your paediatrician to suggest that, if I'm totally honest. There have been studies around this, because it is something that interests me, that have found no correlation between daycare and speech. So I don't think this is right narrative to be pushed at all. My two didn't show signs of a delay, and they were at home with me. Either me or my parents generally take care of them, and obviously Jason. Every child is different, and every child comes on differently. And for healthcare providers to tell us, oh, it is because they're at home with you, without any real conclusive evidence, I think is fear-mongering. You're telling a new mom, oh, it's because they've been with you, that's the reason. And I think it's very damaging. Every child is different, every situation is different. It could be a completely simple explanation, and out of nowhere, your child will progress, and it's okay. Equally, it's good that you're getting this looked into in case there is something that needs to be looked at. But I think putting it down to that is a dangerous narrative that could scare new mums and make them feel bad. And I think it's really bad. I think it's, like I said, there's no massive study that's come out, has there, with really conclusive evidence. Oh, children with stay-at-home parents come on later than children that have gone to daycare. And there isn't, because it is something that interests me. I just find child development really interesting. And I just don't like this narrative that's being pushed, because I've heard it be pushed in this country as well. I've heard people say, oh, because of this, because they didn't go to daycare or because they didn't go to nursery, it could be a reason why this X, Y, and Z. And Yes, I get that daycare is very social. Yes, I get that they are being brought out and they're mixing with other children. But when I think about myself with my girls, I'm constantly talking to them throughout the day, reading with them, chatting with them, having conversations. So I don't think you can really generalize at all. And I think, like I said, it's not good to push that narrative without the evidence. So I think you're doing the right thing. I think you're trying to understand if there is a delay. I'd say 15 months is still very young. I mean, I'm not a healthcare practitioner, so you can't take anything I say as gospel at all ever. But I'd say 15 months is still young for speech. All babies are different. Some babies talk when they're 10 months, don't they? I can't remember exactly how old. Some babies talk a lot later, and every baby and every child is different. And I think comparing can be damaging, but you're doing the right thing by seeking help and seeking advice just in case there is something, you know. But yeah, I would not go thinking of that route because I think it will make you feel bad, and you shouldn't. You're at home with your child, and I'm sure you're doing your very best. And like I said, all children come on at different paces, and that's okay. So I hope that puts your mind at rest a little bit. That's my personal experience, that it didn't impact them, me being at home with them. And yeah, I think I would take that argument with a pinch of salt, really, personally. Next tonight is what's trending. I finished the Gabby Petitio documentary on Netflix, and if you haven't seen it, I'm about to give a big spoiler, so if you want to fast forward, and if you don't know about this or what happened, then please do. But the case was widely covered in the media back when it happened. I think it was like 2021-ish time. And it's about a girl who goes on a road trip with her boyfriend and he ends up killing her. It's really, really sad. It's a horrible story. And then as I was watching this and it finished, a stat came on which said 1 in 2 American women will be in an abusive relationship in their lifetime. And it absolutely floored me. 1 in 2 women. I knew domestic violence cases were high, but that high is just so shocking to me. That's 50% of women will at some point suffer abuse. And I know there's more awareness of this now. And I know this is a really sad topic, but I think it's really important to talk about because I know that statistically pregnant women and new mums are at a higher risk of domestic violence. It is just a statistic. I know that is the case in the UK. I can't speak globally, but I just thought when I saw that stat, it's important to talk about on here because you are all either pregnant or new mums, and it was just to say, if you are going through this or if you are going through something like this, please find the help that you need. You know, there'll be local support groups, there'll be a local number that you can call. It's very easy to kind of put up in a situation like this. I can't speak from experience, but I'm seeing so much more now around this. I just think it's utterly heartbreaking. And I think the more we talk about it on platforms like this podcast or, you know, that documentary on Netflix, they had all support lines, I think, at the end and the statistics around it. And apparently the girl who was killed's mother has come out and said how many people have come forward since that documentary has been phenomenal. The amount of women who have left abusive partners, who have wrote to her, thanking her for putting the story out there and reminding them that it can be very dangerous living with somebody who has the ability to hurt or abuse you. And when you have a young baby or you are pregnant, you are sadly, very sadly, at a higher risk. So yeah, I just thought I saw that stat and I thought I'm going to mention that on the podcast just in case there is even one person out there listening to this that goes, actually, I'm gonna find help. There is help. There is hotlines. There are numbers. There are people you can speak to. It is worth it for your sake and the baby's sake. And I really hope that this isn't the case and that you're all okay. But I just wanted to speak about it because it really floored me, that statistic. And I just think it's so important for your sake and your child's sake to get the help you need if you need it. Next tonight is my self-care tip. This isn't really a tip, but this is to prioritize self-care before you burn out. Because self-care as a mum can sometimes be seen or feel a bit selfish. And it is absolutely not, because you are 24/7, aren't you? Especially with being up in the night feeding. It's a round the clock thing. And as wonderful as it is, it can be very draining. And I think a lot of us mums just can bury our head in the sand and keep going and keep pushing and not communicate all the time to our partner that we need a bit of time. And as soon as I say, I could do with 20 minutes, Jason's like, yeah, go. And luckily he gets it. He's like, I see what it's like for you during the day. It is nonstop. And I think I saw a stat that was talking about cortisol levels. And it was saying how mums on maternity leave and stay-at-home mums use something like 97% more cortisol throughout the day when caring for their children because of everything. It's non-stop. And like in the most wonderful way, it is non-stop. And I had my sister come and stay with me and she was talking about this and she was like saying how it must get easier the more children you have, because for her, she's 10 years younger than me. She was like, there was times in the garden when she was just on edge, like, oh my God, she's going to go on that and she's going to fall. And oh my God. And she was like, how do you deal with that? Like there's constant danger with toddlers, there's and babies. It's just constant, isn't it? And you are kind of on high alert all the time when you're with your baby. And I think that can lead to burnout. Even if you manage that, even if you are calm with that and you manage your stress levels really well, the constantness around motherhood and protecting your children can drain your cup. So it's just my reminder about that. I think we can forget about burnout because we just take it for granted. Oh, well, this is what we do. We're mums now. We do this. And that's okay. That's what we're here to do. And most of us love it. And it's like I say, it's wonderful, but it is draining at times. So book in a massage or book in a girls' night, or just go and book in a half an hour bath and be really intentional. It's not all or nothing. It's not like, oh, I have to have a bath every night at 7 p.m. Otherwise, don't get into this habit of thinking, oh, it has to be a routine, my self-care. Just take it when it comes along. When that moment comes along and your husband is sat with the kids watching telly for a bit, go, I'm going to take this moment now to take myself away. Because it is easy to stick around and think, oh, I'll potter, I'll tidy up, I'll do a bit of hoovering while the kids are still, and then I'll prepare the tea and blah, 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 blah. In those moments, think, right, the kids are fine. They're with their dad. I'm going to go and I'm going to have a half an hour bath. I'm going to have some time to myself. So it's just my reminder to be really intentional with that time and really try and remember that it's okay to take 5 or 10 or 3 hours if you can. Finally, to finish on a quote I wrote. I didn't know how much I needed you until you showed up. You never judged when I was late again, flustered and running on cold coffee and 2 hours of sleep. You just smiled, scooted over, and made space for me. You saw me when I felt invisible. You heard me when I didn't have words. You hugged me when the weight of motherhood felt too heavy to carry alone. You love my babies like they're your own, wiping their tears, cheering their first, laughing at their chaos. And when you say, I've got them, go and take a minute, I could cry because you mean it. You've seen me at my worst, messy hair, puffy eyes, exhausted, and you never made me feel any less. You reminded me that I'm not failing, that I'm not alone, that I'm still me beneath the motherhood. I don't say it enough, but thank you for the coffee runs, the late night texts, the endless reassurance, for being the kind of friend every mum dreams of finding. Because of you, I don't just survive motherhood, I have someone to share it with. And that means everything. Here's to the mum friends. Thank you for listening tonight. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode. As always, please keep your emails coming in or your messages. I'm on TikTok and Instagram, the Night Feed Podcast. And yeah, if anyone wants to come on for a chat, I'd love to hear from you. If anyone wants to send me a middle of the night voice note that I can share on the podcast, please do. And I wish you all a restful, peaceful night ahead. Good night.